TOKIT and Launchpad not only empower artists and creators, but can also be used to administer fundraising campaigns for nonprofit organizations. In my opinion, this is one of the most important use cases for TOKIT and Launchpad. Today we have two nonprofits that are very close to our hearts: ACE, the Association of Community Employment Programs for the Homeless, and Dancing Classrooms. Both of these established organizations are tokenizing themselves for ongoing fundraising campaigns to support their educational programs. Let's take a look at ACE and their innovative program to help provide job training and work experience to get the homeless of New York City off the streets and back into their lives.
I was homeless for so long, so when I came to ACE, it gave me responsibility and it empowered me. They say ACE empower the homeless. It honestly does empower you.
16 years as a crack addict, working in social services, living a duplicitous lifestyle. ACE does change lives.
ACE is a vocational rehabilitation program, a workforce development program that strives to help New Yorkers experiencing poverty and homelessness to become self-sufficient.
I made it!
We offer opportunity to folks who often find themselves without any. All they wanted was a door open and an opportunity. And for 25 years, ACE has afforded them that.
I always said, I'm not gonna find a job, I'm not gonna find a job. And they said, don't give up, Latricia, it'll come to you. I went on several interviews and I just couldn't land a job. 3 months into me being in ACE, one day I went on an interview, and I think that was the most exciting day of my life, because I came back, I called Steve, I called Rachel, I was like, I have a job, I found a job.
We get to know these people, they're not numbers to us. When they find a good job, when they keep their job, when they move out of a homeless shelter and into an apartment, that's the best outcome for us as well. When they receive that certificate and they know that they know something, they've learned something, and they could put it to use in a practical vocational sense, it's really incredibly powerful. We have seen a remarkable increase in our placement rates for those who get those trainings. We've seen their starting wages increase, and the level of confidence across the board for the folks who complete those trainings is through the roof.
My name is Christopher Chappelle, and I've been at ACE for about 2 months now.
Interview process, so we have executives, HR.
The classes consist of vocational training. It consists of going on to the computer and learning how to do applications, because it's very important for people to learn how to use a computer. The classes themselves, they're about how to act on a job interview, what to do, what not to do.
Because nobody wants an employee that is late.
Most of my jobs are temporary, but I'm really hoping to get that position where I could really make a difference. Hopefully I will get that permanent position at the job that I want, which is sanitation.
We see folks that have never worked in their lives now working full-time jobs with their own apartments in a matter of 4 or 5 months. Is fairly remarkable. By supporting this campaign and raising $25,000, you're affording ACE participants the opportunity to attend 200 hard skills trainings and helping fund 1,000 work experience hours.
It helped me. I'm here with my grandkids. You know, I couldn't see that a year ago. I couldn't see things like that, me working, doing the things I'm doing now, if I didn't go to ACE.
We have the opportunity to change so many lives, not just the life of the participant, but the life of their families and friends. And I'm so proud to have done this for 15 years. It's been an honor to offer people opportunity, to put other things aside and say no one should be without hope is an amazing thing.
I have my grandkids in my life, my children, And I'm living in this same neighborhood. But I have my own place now. I'm not out here on the benches. I'm in my own place.
It's really powerful. Every time I watch that video, it's just it's very powerful. I mean, what you guys are doing, it's just it's so important. It's so amazing.
I'm struck even now, watching it probably the third or fourth time, about the ability of the program to impact not just the person who we're actually serving, but the folks around them. You see her, Latrice's grandchild there, and you know her children, but you think about who else is there who's not in front of the camera, that their lives have changed forever. And the cyclical nature of poverty, I think, that's how you stop that. Your children seeing their parents and their grandparents working, I think changes that. It helps stop that.
Let's introduce you guys.
Yeah,
Jim,
sure.
Travis, Ed, can you each take a moment, starting with you, Jim, to just say who you are and what
Sure.
you do in ACE, please?
Yeah, my name's Jim Martin. I'm the executive director of ACE. I have been with the organization for 15 years. Started as a job developer with ACE in 2002, and I've done just about all there is that you can do in the building. And primarily now my job is to come and speak to folks like you and raise some money and make people aware that there's that the problem of addressing poverty and homelessness in the city is not one that can't be solved, but it takes a focus on the individual, and that's pretty much what I do every day.
And Travis?
Yeah, and I'm Travis Tinney. I'm the development director at ACE, and I work in working with the relationships and developing the stories to help share what's going on in our clients' lives, and make sure that people understand and people are introduced and come close to the clients that we're serving. I think really that's an important part. From a distance, we can't really see. We can't feel what's going on in someone else's life, but if we can come close to the people who have challenges, who have difficulties and obstacles, maybe that are much greater than something we could personally imagine in our own lives, when we come close to that, we build our empathy and we understand that it's not something that's wrong with that person, but it's just a circumstance that they've been placed in.
Ed?
Yeah, I'm Ed Sen. I'm the development officer. I'm relatively new to the ACE team, but I don't even know how to put in words. The mission of breaking that cycle of poverty, enabling homeless men and women, and just giving them the skills that they need to empower themselves, it means a lot to me, and this is why I am part of ACE. As a native New Yorker, I see it all around me, and working with Chris, that you see in the video, he's also from New York as well, and this is what I grew up around, this is what I see, and we definitely need to make this change.
Can you speak a little bit about this entire mindset that because ACE, that's what a huge thing that ACE is doing. It's about a mindset and about a self-image as well, isn't it?
I think most importantly, when you're talking about the folks that we serve, you really are. Everything is about relationships to me in the world, and our ability to provide seamless services. So what happens with the type of individual we're serving is they may have to go uptown for literacy training. They may have to go to the Bronx for vocational training. They may have to go to Lower Manhattan to learn how to use a computer. The beauty of what ACE does is the continuity of care. They're developing a relationship of trust with the people that staff our programs. We're giving them all those things under the same roof. So when you have someone who's 40, 45, 50 years old who does not know how to read, that's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to sit in a classroom, to trust someone to teach you, to say to someone, look, I can't read. This is not a 2-week program. It's not a 1-month program. It's a 4 to 6 months, sometimes 7, 8 month long program. Those are real relationships, and the level of trust and confidence that comes from knowing when I go there tomorrow, it's going to be the same folks, the same people. They know who I am. They know what my issues are. They know what my barriers are, and they can help me get over them. We're not having to meet a new person every day, and the faces change, and you're all over the city trying to solve the same problem.
We'll work with men and women like Latricia for 4 months, but it's also a lifetime support program. Once Latricia found a job, she came and told us the next day. Yeah. We called her every week since, and it's been a year. Knowing that you have a safety net, you have someone who genuinely cares about you, that builds confidence. And actually, once you see that first check with your name on it, it really changes something, especially when you're thinking about someone who maybe hasn't seen a check in 5, 10, 15 years. Yeah.
With the societal systems we have in place, with the economic systems we have in place, you know, people fall through the cracks.
Sure.
We at SingularDTV are totally focused on blockchain technology to create economic systems where people don't fall through the cracks. You know, smarter societal systems, and you know, it gives us, you know, a great pleasure and a sense of like, wow, a real accomplishment for us to be able to share these with you, so that ACE can use TOKIT and Launchpad to administer a fundraising campaign to help people here in New York City.
You know, getting, you know, addressing your mission with the limited funds you have, and for us to be able to streamline that process when it comes to fundraising is everything for us.
What I'm really hoping happens with ACE, with regard to how you use our applications, is that, you know, it just increases your reach worldwide now to a completely different type of community. And there are so many people out there that I know, if they knew about you, then they would donate. They would want to be a part of this mission.
The ability to get Latricia's story all over the world in a blink of an eye is amazing to me. For doing this and with this organization as long as I have, and struggling as mightily as we have with getting that story out, it's amazing to me that now in a blink of an eye we can get folks all over the world to learn that this beautiful, talented, courageous woman has taken her life back, and that's a human story, and it doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter what language you speak.
Well, what I'm hoping is that other organizations like yours around the world will see what you're doing here, using the power of decentralized computing in our applications, and will be inspired to do the same thing. You know, I know, Ed, when we first started talking about all this, you know, we were talking, okay, ACE's 25th anniversary is coming up. Wouldn't that be great to put together a token launch, a funding campaign to raise $25,000? I think that's initially what we were talking about.
Yes, definitely.
Why not create a funding campaign of 1 million tokens and just let it out there and you know, have it go for, I don't know however long you want it to go, a year or whatever. And
amazing.
And then have people, of course, you know, SingularDTV will constantly be talking about ACE and what your guys are doing, and you know, hopefully it won't just be $25,000 you know, we raise, but hopefully 1 million.
If there were to be 1 million tokens out there that went, that would translate to thousands and thousands of lives being completely transformed. Kids, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters.
Well, let's get your funding campaign set up. Let's create your tokenized ecosystem. Are one of you three going to be in charge of the interface and to administer and manage this?
I'm hoping it's going to be somebody else other than me.
Okay.
Yeah, Ed and I will be a team effort between us. We'll look over it together. Ed might manage it on a day-to-day basis, and we'll work through it. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Basically, all we have to do is press that launch button, and that means the campaign goes live. So right after the first airing of this episode, people can go to the URL that's on our screen right now, and they can see this campaign go live. And you can visit that page anytime you want, and you can see the progress on how many tokens are being bought around the world.
Amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, you're helping to empower men and women, homeless men and women.
Changes fundraising in a lot of ways.
We're going to do everything we can to make sure that all those tokens get bought. So thank you so much for coming on.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you, Jim. All right, Travis.
Yeah, thank you, Zach.
Thanks so much. Next, we're talking with SingularDTV co-founder and CFO, Ari Levy-Cohen. SingularDTV's first application, TOKIT, creates an entirely new type of business structure called a tokenized ecosystem. In the centralized legacy world, business structures are known as LLCs and corporations. But in the decentralized world of Ethereum and SingularDTV, Tokenized ecosystems are the new kind of business structure. Let's take a deeper look into the philosophy behind what a tokenized ecosystem is.
Freedom and independence for someone like me who has a banking entrepreneurial background is very closely related to financial independence. Today, financial independence, which could relate to freedom, is not very much available to all people. It's available to the very few. And I think that that type of inclusion is afforded to them with tokenized ecosystems, in particular decentralized tokenized ecosystems. There are very many people who think this is a nice thing to have, but the vast majority of the world, this is something that would be the difference between them being able to participate in the global economy and not. Absolute centralization leads to totalitarianism. Absolute decentralization will lead to anarchy. And so when you have a balance between centralized systems and decentralized systems, you have harmony. And that type of harmony is very much at the core of every human being's understanding and experience, whether they live here in the United States or they live in a country like Venezuela, which is probably sinking to the lowest levels below Zimbabwe. They all know the value of what harmony represents in their life. And they all understand the need for centralized systems, but they all understand the value that promises being able to be free and independent. And decentralized systems provide these promises. And so that harmony that is arrived out of the balance between the centralized and decentralized systems is what we at SingularDTV find to be the core foundation of our entire structure. You know, the total productive capacity of a nation is what gives the nation the value to its currency. And so the total productive capacity of a nation could be seen as the GDP, the work output of major corporations, and at the end of the day, the individuals who participate in that economic activity inside those major corporations, small and medium-sized enterprises, and mom and pop shops all over the United States, entrepreneurs. Ultimately, we the people are the ones who derive the value to the currency by way of our individual productive capacity, which then becomes the total productive capacity of the nation. So we are the value. And for SingularDTV, nothing has been more clear than that. I am convinced that paper money, cash, will go away, and the connection between identity, cryptographic security, and the system of debits and credits will be the future that we know. And distributed, decentralized, tokenized ecosystems fall into that like a glove to a hand. And participating in the building blocks of something like that is probably one of those opportunities that don't come every 100 years. So I'm very honored to be a part of it. As an outsider looking in, I am certainly not a coder. I'm a banker and an entrepreneur, but this is the ride to be on.
Dancing Classrooms cultivates essential life skills in children through the art of social dance. There have been 3 feature films produced about Dancing Classrooms and its founder, Pierre Dulain. We're very excited to have some key members of their organization here with us today. But first, let's take a closer look at what Dancing Classrooms is all about.
Our mission at Dancing Classrooms simply is to cultivate essential life skills through the power of social dance. Our children, particularly our Dancing Classrooms Youth Dance Company, really represent the power of what dance can be. on an international stage. We literally have children across all religious backgrounds, children of all class backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds. Dancing Classrooms is privileged to reach about 50,000 children a year across our sites nationally and internationally. It never fails to impact children from the perspective of confidence, self-esteem, respect, elegance, and teamwork.
You can start from like a very shy, timid person, but over the years when you get to meet all the different people, you actually gain a lot of confidence.
And it also really teaches kindness. So like we learn that we have to be nice and respect.
I feel like Dancing Classroom taught a lot of people important social and team building skills, because you can't really dance by yourself. Yeah. I mean, you can, but it's not as fun.
Ever since I did dancing, I felt I could be more open and overall just, communicate better with everybody else.
Dancing Classrooms New York City is the flagship location of all of the Dancing Classroom sites. It's the first site that was founded. It is the site that is the subject of Mad Hot Ballroom.
Dancing Classrooms has been privileged to be featured prominently in 3 major films. Mad Hot Ballroom is sort of the documentary film in 2005 that put Dancing Classrooms on the map, so to speak. It was a documentary about our work in public schools in New York City. A year later, the feature film Take the Lead was released, starring Antonio Banderas. And it was the film that looked at the story of our founder, Pierre Dulain. Antonio played Pierre Dulain and looked at what was his motivation for bringing dancing classrooms into the public school system. Lastly, a beautiful film named Dancing in Jaffa was made in 2014. It told the story of Pierre Dulain going back to his hometown of Jaffa with the goal of bringing the power of dancing classrooms into a community that for generations has been divided along cultural and religious and political lines.
I liked it so much in school. I continued it, and I heard about the Youth Dance Company, and so I auditioned for it and I got in, and I was really proud of myself.
The Youth Dance Company represents dancing classrooms in performance venues, and it's comprised of 24 children who came up out of our Dancing Classrooms Academy. They represent dancing classrooms at performance venues, usually across the city. Sometimes we've gone out of state, and what we're about to do now is take it internationally. We have been invited to perform at the Carmiel Dance Festival in Israel. Dancing Classrooms New York City will be connecting with Dancing Classrooms Israel. That is where Dancing Classrooms founder, Pierre Dulain, was born.
When you touch someone with respect, something changes. When a human being dances with another human being, you get to know that person in a way that you cannot describe. They now become a unique individual and not a label.
We're looking forward to collaborating with Singular-DTV for our token launch of $25,000. I think that a trip like this for the Youth Dance Company, with young people connecting with other young people across boundaries, across divisions, I think can be a learning opportunity for everybody.
If you start with child and they learn to respect themselves first, and then they can respect other people as they're growing up, this is my hope.
Please support our trip to Israel! Woo!
I can't even yell.
Rodney, Ali, it's great to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
You know, as a father, I couldn't think of anything more important to give to my child, aside from love, than confidence, and the confidence to be, yourself. And I think, to me, that's what Dancing Classrooms, one of the really important things, aside from, an understanding of respect, gives to kids, to young adults.
One of the things that is actually sometimes a challenge, I'll go right into it. One of the things that's a challenge about communicating the core of what Dancing Classrooms is to get folks to think beyond just the art form itself. Because if all you're seeing is the art form, it can actually be explained away as frivolous. And we're in an environment where, for over a decade, we've seen arts programs being cut in school because people are making the assumption that the arts are frivolous. People are making assumptions that the academic skills are really more important than the artistic skills or the soft skills. And what Dancing Classrooms is a stand for, Dancing Classrooms is a stand for that while the academics are important, there are also some very crucial skills, some very crucial life skills that are needed for children to be successful, to be holistic human beings. And Dancing Classrooms really is a stand for teaching art, teaching this dance art form at a very high level, but also giving children the opportunity to grow in confidence, the opportunity to grow in self-esteem. And that's a life skill that they're going to carry with them for the rest of their lives.
I mean, in every single person is a creative being. You know, we have this creative expression within, and I think it's so important to find as many different outlets or ways to evolve that, to encourage that, so that I mean, creative expression that isn't realized, it's potential that's not realized, and that manifests, I think, in so many undesirable or negative ways as you grow older, potentially.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you know, our flagship site is New York. It's our oldest location. We've been around for over 23 years here in New York City. But after the release of these wonderful films, Mad Hot Ballroom, Take the Lead, other communities just got excited about the possibility of what Dancing Classrooms can be. So we are in a number of sites nationally and also in some international locations. And collectively, we're impacting 50,000 lives a year. It's really wonderful.
World peace through dance.
Exactly.
That's the goal.
Yes, yes.
Because Pierre, I remember talking to him, and it's just his efforts to unite Palestinians and Israelis through dance. That's incredible.
That's world peace through dance. And when you think about it, really, where does it start? You know, where does it start? It starts with fundamental assumptions. And the best way to change fundamental assumptions is with young people. You know, before the biases and the prejudices that we all carry, but before they get solidified, before they get calcified, why not give young people the exposure, the opportunity to have a different experience, and even more so with neighbors that you don't necessarily get along with. So the potential here is just really significant.
So what we're doing with SingularDTV in this entire decentralized computing movement is really redefining what value is. Right. And what Dancing Classrooms is doing, I think, is defining what value is for a young person, what it is for us as human beings. Because too often, I think now, especially the way our world is with the economic systems we have, we see the price of things. We don't see the value.
That's right.
And I think this movement is hopefully starting to change that perception.
Yeah, you know, one of the challenges of a nonprofit organization is constantly having to prove what you're worth, constantly having to prove what your value is. And the people who live this mission, like Ali, our colleagues in the work and as teaching artists and other support staff, we see the impact we're making on children every single day. And we have to go in front of, like any other nonprofit organization does, we have to go in front of funders. We have to go in front of donors. We have to write proposals. We have to get grants. We have to constantly be in a mode of proving what our value is and trying to convince people to invest in us, so to speak. Right. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that, with making your case. But you know, what would it mean to redefine value, as we were talking about? What would it mean to have a new medium of exchange where people can actually see the value for what it is, and and maybe not have the same old gatekeepers that we normally have, and have a different way of people connecting to each other. I think it's fascinating.
About the value, the Dancing Classroom token, it's our challenge is to make it not seem like a donation, but like when you are actually buying a Dancing Classroom token, you're buying something tangible. You're buying the ability to help empower young people, to give them confidence, to give them respect, and all these things. That's really what it is. That's really the value.
The weight of a human heart. You know, their hearts grow during the course of our 20-lesson residency.
That's right.
And when I think of value, know that we don't have like a scale for measuring that, but we can see that it does, that they inside, their bodies may not grow in the 10 weeks of the 20 lessons, but inside is growing. And that's even, that's affecting their families too. When we see the families come to the culminating events, there are tears in their eyes because they're seeing the potential realized that they never really thought about, that they could see in their child. And then when they come to our academy classes, then they meet new friends from other schools, from other parts of the city, and their horizons are opened, and they're establishing connections with a whole wider base than they ever knew was possible.
And you know, taking a dance troupe over to Israel, for example, I mean, these kids, actually taking them to another country to meet other people from different cultures and to dance with them, that's got to be...
So, yeah, we've been so excited about this invitation to the Carmel Dance Festival, and we were actually invited to come in 2016, and we tried to get there, and we couldn't. We were unable to raise the money, and so we set it aside, and however, I'm so glad we tried again, and that we have SingularDTV to open our eyes to this whole other medium of being able to make this possible.
Well, we're honored to be able to use, you know, what we've built to help dancing classrooms and to send the dance troupe to Israel. And you know, originally, of course, we said let's create a tokenized ecosystem and 25,000 tokens, each at $1, and you know, really get this thing going. But again, you know, and I said this earlier, why stop there? Why not create 1 million tokens, value them at $1 each, and just keep your raise open? That's right. Because this is, I think it's too important. It's too important.
As traditional funding sources dwindle, and as traditional funding sources dwindle in, under new political and economic realities that we're facing, it becomes harder and harder for organizations like ours to make the case for the work that we're doing, and not on the one-to-one level, not on the personal level. I think when you can see the impact of a dancing classrooms residency or a dancing classrooms program, people kind of get it. Yeah. But then when you have to make sort of the business case for it, people start to shift their ideas and say, well, that's great, but kind of what about the STEM stuff, and what about the kind of we're lagging behind in this country, and these educational indicators, and all of those conversations are really important, but then it gets lost in kind of the noise, and so this is really a great opportunity for us to just really tell our story, really make our case, and say there's a space, and there's an opportunity for people to really be supportive of something that has a long-lasting impact, because it really does. We have alumni.
A lifetime impact.
A lifetime impact. We have alumni who've come back. Some of our kids who started in the early 90s and the mid-90s are now in their 20s and early 30s, and we're starting to re-engage with them. And they come back, and not only do they remember their dance steps, but they also can speak with great passion and articulation about what this meant for them and what this meant for their lives. So this is not this is not at all frivolous. This is really very serious stuff.
And ideally, of course, it's society and the societal systems that really should be taking care of these cultural aspects that are so important.
That's right.
But unfortunately, that's not the case.
Yeah.
So we have to do something about it. And I do believe in a future where eventually, and partly due to the decentralized movement that we're part of, that we will build these systems that are integrated and understand, the importance of empowering children like this. So immediately after the first airing of this episode, you can go to the URL on the bottom of the screen and you can watch the Dancing Classrooms campaign, Tokenized Ecosystem, become live and launch. Great. So you can always go to that webpage anytime you want, and you can see your progress Others out there will go there, and that's where they can buy your tokens and they can contribute. And the beautiful thing is, the first 25,000 tokens, that first $25,000, of course, is going to the dance troupe to send them to Carmiel.
Great.
Thank you.
And all the other projects that you have that are on your schedule, those tokens will be going, of course, to that. So amazing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh no, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's change the world together.
You got it.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
yes.
Ali, so it's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.